Welcome everyone to our third monthly webinar, which is every third Thursday of the month. Thank you for making time in your day to talk about something that impacts every small business, cybersecurity. Today isn't about fear, it's about clarity, empowerment, and protecting what you've worked hard to build. I'd like to introduce you to Natalie Suarez, Chief Cyber Strategist. Take it away, Natalie.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. Hello, everyone. So we are covering Cybersecurity 101 today. So we're going to talk about some of the top threats to small businesses, as you can see by this agenda. We're going to really concentrate about social engineering, because honestly, phishing is a type of social engineering. And we're going to talk about how you can stop that for your small business. So why are we here? So one of my favorite cyber resources is the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report, the Verizon DIBR. And according to the latest DIBR, what does it say bad guys are doing to get in? How are they getting in? Well, there's the top three: credential abuse, exploitation of vulnerabilities. We've seen a lot of that with things like Change Healthcare and other software that's had issues, and phishing. And I really want you to look at credential abuse and phishing for this presentation, because you know what those have in common? The human element. So according to the DIBR, 60% of breaches do involve the human element. It could be a mistake, it could be a misconfiguration, it could be clicking on an email. And this is really important for people to realize this, because people tend to think about technology when you say the word cybersecurity. But guess what? Cybersecurity is actually a people problem, not a tech problem. I like to talk about the three-legged stool, which is people, process, and technology. Today, we're going to concentrate on people, but all three of those are really important when you're talking about your cybersecurity posture and your safety as a business, right? Cybersecurity is really about behaviors. A single distracted click, a really simple password. These can wreak a lot of havoc for your business. And I know a lot of companies like to say that humans are your weakest link, but honestly, let's turn that around a bit and try to think of humans as our human firewall, and how we can empower them to take stake and understand how important they are in protecting our business and thereby protecting their livelihood, right? So what's the core of this issue? Well, phishing beats tools, right? Social engineering, including phishing, targets emotions, and unfortunately, small businesses are prime targets. According to whatever source you should choose, because there are many of them, anywhere between 60 and 90% of small businesses were hit with a cyber attack last year. And according to the University of Maryland, 82% of ransomware actually targets small businesses. And by the way, we both did kind of forget to say this, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Rebecca will let me know. She's looking at that. I'm trying to look at the screen, so I'm focused on you. And well, I'm happy to answer questions throughout. If you have any comments or questions, happy to engage.
Thank you, Natalie. I did forget that. I apologize.
I forgot too. We just jumped on in. We were ready to
We're here
go.
for each other, so thank you.
I know. Yeah, you have to jump in with me because I just talk. So let's jump into phishing and social engineering. And we're going to start with a true story. So I'm going to pass it back to Rebecca, and then I will add some color.
Yeah, so I definitely, you always hear, oh, I had a friend of a friend that this happened to. And I always find that to be more urban legend-ish. So I only give you stories that I firsthand have knowledge of. So there's definitely a plethora to choose from, but the latest one was from an actual customer or client of ours, and a deep fake had called him, acted like he was from his bank. For whatever reason, he gave him the bank deep fake needed to verify something. And so what was his login? Oh, what's your password? Oh yeah, you're good. Thank you. Click. So luckily, actually, Huntress, which is part of our tech stack, caught that someone was trying to get into his device. And, we kind of asked him about it. he rotated his passwords, and basically, like, luckily nothing was, came of it, but it can happen to anybody. So anyone that thinks, oh my gosh, that sounds so ridiculous, how could someone fall for that? But given the right time of day or what's on your plate for the day, you just do. And by the time you click, you're like, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
And then I also have a family member that they're like, our nephew, his other side of the grandparents, they fell for a deep fake, and it lasted for over a week. The deep fake was calling them, and they were out $40,000. And he actually had to testify in like court and say that wasn't me. Like it really was a big deal. And so it does happen to real people. And there are a plethora of stories of this going on. And the sad thing is you don't find out about it because, especially small business, you don't necessarily have to report it. You're embarrassed. You don't want your clients to find out. So, a lot of times it just goes unnoticed. So small business doesn't really understand how often it is happening. And I know I don't want to steal your info for the next few slides, but I could go on a tangent about that, but I think I'm done for now for my true story. So.
All right. So I had the privilege of attending DEF CON one year. Unfortunately, I haven't made it back since, but I plan to. And DEF CON, for those of you who don't know, is basically a hacker type conference, right? It is, and hackers, believe it or not, it's not a bad word. There's white hat, gray hat, and black hat hackers. And they have these different villages where they show you different things. So one of the villages that I went to, or session that I went to, was the social engineering session. And what happens is there's like a little soundproof booth, and the caller and someone from the audience volunteers to be a caller. And they get on the phone and they call real businesses. Now, it's a soundproof booth, so the person that they're calling can't hear anything from the audience, right? So they get in the booth, and from the moment, I think it's like, I don't remember if it was like 3 or 5 minutes that they're given. From the moment they dial the phone, they call a real business, and they try to get information like on what technology they're using, or a username and password, or whatever. And let me tell you, they were successful most of the time, believe it or not. And these are real businesses. So just want to put that out there. And I have tons, like I could spend the entire time on this. I have tons of it can happen to anyone's stories where people who are in cybersecurity and even cybersecurity businesses have fallen prey to attacks, right? But we're not here to disparage anyone. We're just here to share information. So I just want to let you know it's true. And we're going to talk about what these things look like and how you can avoid them. So what is the phishing formula, or really even the social engineering formula? Because phishing is a type of social engineering, right? So they're going to do 4 things. They're going to use authority, urgency, your emotion, and your actions, right? It's going to look official. It's always going to want you to act right this minute. It's going to play on your emotions, your fear, your stress, maybe even your curiosity. It's going to ask you to do an action. It could be click a link, download a document, buy the latest and greatest widget, whatever it is, or pay for some gift cards and send the the digits, the serial numbers, and the pins, right?
I'd say that's a great one for the like we're coming up around the holidays. So it's going to be a big one.
Yes.
And even the text message of, oh, you have a package waiting, click here, when you know.
Yes. We've had a delivery issue. Yes. You haven't paid your tolls, right? All those good things. And you know what? With AI, it's even easier, because now with AI, I could write an email to Rebecca that sounds like me, right? A bad guy could, or vice versa, right? Because we're not going to see those same grammar errors that we used to see, right? We're way past days of that Nigerian prince. So let's look at a couple of phishing emails. I want you guys to take a minute, and I want you to look at this. And this is to my tremble.tech email. And I want you to look at it. And then maybe if we could get some people in the audience to like call out what they see in this email that may be a clue that this is indeed a fake email or a phishing email. Anyone? I don't want to spend too much time. I can't see the chat, so
Yeah, I would just go ahead.
yeah, let's go ahead. Number one, Microsoft is misspelled. Hey, if you were in a hurry, you may not notice that, right? Number two, sense of urgency. I have called out 4 different places where it is really playing on your emotions and a sense of urgency. Action required, account suspended. You only have 2 hours. If you don't do this, your files could become unavailable, right? Fear-based language. Hidden URL. And mouse over the URL, see where it goes to, right? Personally, I wouldn't have gotten this far, but that's okay. Threat of losing files, again, on that emotional pressure. Odd usage of do not reply. For your protection, do not reply directly to this email. Bad guys will try to isolate you and keep you from reaching out to perhaps your own tech support or Microsoft tech support. So they're trying to isolate you. And then the last one, I believe, on this slide is generic closing with a fake case ID. I mean, I have no idea, honestly. I can't recall for the life of me what a Microsoft case ID looks like, fortunately. But that's a really weird closing. Even when you're reaching out to tech support from a big company, you at least usually get a name, right? And then last but not least, would Microsoft ever send an email like this? No, they wouldn't. If you did get something like this and you thought it was real, your best bet would be to go straight to your Microsoft account and log in and look and see if you get any warnings about your account. So let's look at another one. So this one's from Rebecca at not trouble.tech, but trumb11.tech, right? That is a common thing that bad guys will do, is replace letters with look-alike numbers or something like that, or transpose letters like you saw in the Microsoft. I can't even pronounce how it's spelled, right? So this is supposedly an internal email, right? So what's weird about this one? Well, the 1 instead of the LL. You should never see this on an internal email. Now, I will tell you, this means the reason we see this in my email is because my email is professionally set up by the techs at Trumbull Tech, right? And if you don't see these types of warnings in your email, you need to talk to whoever's managing your email for you so they can set it up so that it does show when you're getting email from someone outside your organization or someone that you normally don't get email from. Again, that sense of urgency and emotional pressure. Urgent. I need you urgently. This has to be handled before this call. Immediate action required, right? I need you to verify your identity on my behalf. That doesn't even make any sense. That's not possible. You can't verify someone else's identity with their username and password, right? Again, another hidden URL. And then, is this actually Rebecca's phone number? Well, in this case, this is Rebecca's phone number. So, but, you know, would it really be hard to find the address of Trumbull Tech or Rebecca's email or the phone number? No, Rebecca hands out cards. We have a website. So just because there is a lot of data does not mean this is a legitimate email. And another thing to note is in the signature, this email address does not match the sender email address.
The other thing I was going to highlight too, like going back up to your point of your email should be kind of showing you this is an outside sender or what have you. Like if you're using a business, if your business email is like at gmail.com, you're not going to see that. Like there really is a difference between having that, what do you call it?
A professional.
But it's
business.
Get the acronym.
Business
enterprise.
Yes, enterprise grade.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's going to filter, excuse me, that's going to filter out a lot of these, like the really spammy, really obvious ones. Like a really good filtering is going to help with that. But we do have a question. What should we do if someone has already clicked on a phishing link or fell for a scam already? Are there specific steps we should take?
So time is of the essence. If someone clicks on a suspicious link, hopefully you have a managed service provider in your backyard managing your infrastructure, I would let them know immediately so that they can disable your account. So they're going to want to disable your account. They're going to want to log you out of all of your sessions. That means if I'm logged in, when I say sessions, it sounds like it is a technical term. So that means if I'm logged in on my computer or my cell phone or my tablet, they're going to want to log you out of everything. And then they're going to want to get with you and change your password. So the quicker you act, the better. Like in the example Rebecca was talking about, if that business had not acted quickly after they gave those details, the bad guy could have cleaned out their bank account. It could have stolen proprietary data, but because they called right away, they were able to stop financial transactions. They had a tool that helped them. When I say cybersecurity is a people problem, I don't mean people only. It's a combination of people, process, and tech. So you need the combination of all of those. But if that person, if they had not had the tool or they had not called, they could have lost a lot of money, especially with financial fraud. That's really difficult because those bad guys move quickly. So if they get a hold of your real bank account information and are able to wire transfer money or redirect wire transfers to them, you've actually entered a verbal contract with this bad guy. The bank, this is not FDIC insured, and the bank does not have to return your money. So time is always of the essence.
I would also add to that, if you feel like you've clicked on something and you've compromised your device, don't use that same device to reach out.
No, don't.
On a bank link or what have you.
Yeah.
Don't go on that same computer and go on your bank account and log in. Do not do that. Like use your phone or some other device.
Yes, that's a great point.
Don't use the same device.
Now, all the socially awkward people are really going to cry here, but especially with businesses, it's really in your best interest to have a personal relationship with your banker, right? So you really should know your banker. And I mean, you should go to the branch and know them and put in policies with them so that if the bank gets a strange request that appears to be coming from you, that they know to stop because this doesn't sound like you. Because why? Because they know you, right? And that brings the last point. Does the overall tone of this sound like Rebecca? No. I mean, I know Rebecca. And another funny story is one of these emails, I was because it doesn't have real links in it. One of them I actually did receive in my trouble.tech email because I sent it for my Gmail. I just kind of altered it with a preview, but I want to tell you that because filters don't stop everything, right? One of them didn't make it through. The one from Microsoft did not make it through, but this one did make it through.
Some of that has to do with if it's a new domain or a new whatever, the email filter doesn't always catch it. So it does take some time for it to do that. So that's why sometimes some of them come through and some of them don't.
Right. So I didn't spoof Rebecca's domain. It didn't really come in from Rebecca at Trumbull with 2 1s. It came in from my Gmail and I just edited the thing. So if it had really been at Trumbull with 2 1s, it would not have made it. Right. And like I said, stop and think, right? So what is social engineering? It could be phone impersonation, like with your nephew, right, Rebecca, with his grandparents. It could be a text scam. Again, you haven't paid your tolls. My favorite ones are the ones that say you haven't paid your tolls, but they're from a foreign number.
Right.
Those are my fake login pages. Sometimes, you have to be really careful these days. If I'm Googling for something, I may not want to take even though the first hit's AI now, but I may not want to hit one of those sponsored links because bad guys get in all the time and, purchase domains that look similar to a domain you may be looking for. Or I've done it before. I've made a typo because I'm like, oh, I don't have to Google this. I know this link, right? Yep. Be careful for stuff like that.
Well, especially with the holidays coming up too, like for example, if I'm scrolling Facebook and I'm like, that looks kind of cool, I want to buy that. I never, ever, ever click on any ad in Facebook. I actually go to whatever that store is and use it and order from that way. I don't know if that helps me at all, but
no, definitely. That is great advice.
But that's how people get hacked into your Facebook account. And then if you have a credit card, which I don't recommend having with your Facebook, it's like then they have everything, right? So anyway.
And people tend to forget about in-person tailgating. I mean, some of us do still have offices that may have secure locks. Rebecca and I visited a local real estate office yesterday, and they have, they have key card access to get into their building. And no, I'm not going to, you shouldn't allow people to tailgate you, to come in behind you, right? Because you never know. We like to say that, anybody with a clipboard and a construction hat is free access to everywhere in the building, right? So be careful about stuff like that too. So why does it work? It works because it creates pressure. Notice how many hands this guy has. He's really multitasking, right? Think about your day. I mean, I'm not multitasking now. Rebecca and I aren't, because we're concentrating on you. But the rest of the day, heck, we're all over the place, right? We're writing in a notebook, we're typing, we're reading a book, we're talking on the phone. I'm watching that shiny thing fly by, squirrel, people really are not. People are too busy. And sometimes people don't click because they don't know any better. They click because they're busy. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Right? Time is of the essence. People believe it or not, people want to be polite. I mean, it feels kind of awkward to close the door on the person trying to tailgate you. But I know when I worked in the government space, if I didn't do that, I would have been fired. Right? People do have a trusting nature and like everyday distractions, right?
Yep.
If you have kids or you have a dog in your home, maybe they're distracting you while you're trying to work, right? So let's get into some of how we can avoid this. I'm here to tell you that culture matters, and a good culture matters. You need to have a good culture of cybersecurity. So why don't people report? I find this image is really disconcerting, isn't it? You can't really tell if that's the back or front of her phone. By the way, all these images were created by AI. So if there's anything a little off or weird, that's why. Because I love to use it to create images, so I don't have to worry about stealing images that I shouldn't be using. Why don't people report? They may be embarrassed. Gosh, I'm in cybersecurity. I should know better. Maybe they're afraid that they're going to get punished or blamed for something happening. Maybe the organization doesn't have a very clear process. Maybe they figure, well, it's not that big a deal. I clicked on the link, but I didn't give them any information, right? Not realizing that you just gave them access by clicking the link.
I will say the ones that I have seen firsthand, and I've seen the gift card thing happen to someone, and I've seen someone in a financial position transfer $380 something thousand. And it was, I'd say the number one reason was fear. Yeah. They were afraid if they did not do what the request was from leadership, so that's why they did not want to question it. They did not want to verify. So, just keep that in mind with what we're talking about with culture and making it part of your process, and also making sure that your people do not fear coming to you to verify. It should just be part of your company policy and process.
And this can happen in your personal life as well as your professional life. I personally know someone who lost basically everything because they fell for a crypto scam. These scams can be that target businesses and people. They can be very convincing. People should not be embarrassed. They really shouldn't. They should report it as soon as possible. So what does a cyber aware culture look like? People ask questions. They're not afraid to report stuff. Gamify it. Have people share with each other real attempts like monthly, right? Have a contest. Who has the best story? Have regular security awareness training. I mean, studies show that psychological safety is a cybersecurity strategy. If people are embarrassed or have a fear of retribution, attacks are going to slip through because the bad guys do not wait, right? Culture is greater than technology. It really is. So what are some practical steps we can follow? Well, as an individual, you should stop and smell the roses, right? Pause your reaction. I know a lot of times the reaction is, oh, this will just take 5 seconds. I'll just reply to this email and then I'll be able to get on with my life, right? Like we talked about with the email with Rebecca, verify the source independently. If I get a strange email from Rebecca, I'm going to call her on not the number in the email, but on a good known number that I know. And I'm going to say, hey, Rebecca, did this really come from you? Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So I think we had something come in. I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye flashing up.
Yep. Speaking of company culture regarding IT, do you have any tips on how to talk with employees who are resistant to change? Some people get stuck in a routine. That's a great question.
That is a great question, and I think you need to address that head on. I would not call someone out individually, but if you're having that regular security awareness training, and you're having these regular gamified contests of who got the most ridiculous thing, I think you can break down people's defenses by, number one, in a group setting, saying, I know some of you are resistant to change, but this isn't an option. This is something that we're all going to practice together to make our organization safer. And a carrot always works better than a stick. So, gamify it, make it a reward. The most ridiculous phishing or social engineering attack that comes in, have people share it, give people stake in it. Maybe reward people who pass all of their phishing testing with flying colors, right?
I was going to say one of our
Yeah.
packages is Secure Plus, and it includes you can either set it up monthly or quarterly, and they're phishing. Basically, we send phishing emails to see who's going to click on it or not. So that would kind of be that employee that might be resistant to change. Well,
Yes.
they're going to click on it and then fail that test and have to go through kind of some trainings and things like that. So that might be also a way that you could sort of gently guide them into the change. So
now, I'm not saying, if you have a serial clicker, someone who clicks on absolutely everything, no matter what you do, that may be an HR issue.
Right.
I'm not saying not to do that. What I'm saying is if someone is reporting, some people make mistakes, give them some grace, right? And, report anything that looks suspicious, you should report it, right?
We got another question in.
Oh, sure.
I own a relatively small business with a team of less than 20 people. Are there any affordable cybersecurity awareness training programs for businesses like mine? We just talked about one of our packages, which is very affordable, includes that cybersecurity awareness training through email. Can you think of any others, Natalie?
Yeah, attending stuff like this. This is security awareness training. Yep. Attend webinars. And that's a great segue into this slide. Honestly, what are some organizational steps you can take? Cybersecurity is everyone's job from the top down. If the leadership does not take cybersecurity seriously and does not take the security awareness training seriously, don't expect anyone else to take it seriously.
Agreed.
That means when there's training, everybody shows. Right?
Yep.
Right.
Agreed.
We don't have a separate process for executives versus, the administrative assistant or people out in the field, right?
I would also say, find trusted sources of, tips and trends and things like that, whether it's obviously our page that we give
everywhere,
tips, but also just any trusted source that you're finding that has good, informative information and tips and trends. Make all of your people join that, and just so everyone's aware, and maybe even have that part of your team meeting, right? Maybe spend 5 minutes. Hey, who has the latest trend or what's going on? And that can be part of the regular team meeting as well.
I think that's a fantastic idea. And gosh, there's so much information everywhere. And Rebecca and I are going to share our contact information. If you'd like some reputable resources, we're more than happy to share those with you guys. And I say guys in the generic term, that means everyone. You can't fault people for not reporting if you don't have a simple reporting process, right? You have to have a simple reporting process. And I wouldn't advise that to be a individual email. I know, like at Trumbull Tech, there is a little icon in our email that we can click to report a phishing email, right? I know who to call if I get a strange call. As a matter of fact, I did get a strange call. Remember when my 8x8 was set up and I messaged you and Dave on Teams and I said, what is this call about? And you're like, oh, that guy's calling everybody. Remember that? Rewards. Again, carrots work better than sticks, even though carrots would not work for me because I do not like them. But rewards, celebrate catches, gamify it, make it a silly, fun game, right? You have to have security awareness training. It's not optional, right? I was thinking the other person who will fall for all the phishing and all the social engineering is the person who goes, I would never fall for that. Right?
That's called Murphy's Law, but yes.
Yeah. Yes, I would never fall for that. Those words would never come out of my mouth.
Nope, me neither.
And one thing, remember, a lot of this was due to credentials. Implement and enforce strong password and phishing-resistant multi-factor authentication. Getting a text message on your cell phone is the absolute worst way to do multi-factor authentication. And I know tons of banks do it, tons of financial institutions. I wish they didn't. When I say enforce strong passwords, I mean not using the same password everywhere. TrumbleTech also offers password managers. I highly encourage you to use the password manager. Once you learn it's a very, very, very small learning curve to learn how to use a password manager.
And Natalie, could you clarify the not using your phone? For example, are you referring to getting a text code, or are you referring, because I feel like some people do use authenticator apps.
Oh, yeah.
You're not referring to that. Like, as far as using your phone for an authenticator app is not what you're referring to.
No, but even that is weaker. So authenticator app is better. The best is actually an authentication token. And I know a lot of people aren't there, but I wear a tinfoil hat and I actually use a physical piece of hardware. And am I able to use that everywhere? No. A lot of vendors like Microsoft even has gone to passwordless authentication. That's very secure. That's more secure. The reason getting a text code to your phone, one of the reasons is that is very easily defeatable by several phishing as a service attacks that are available and being used on the web, available for purchase on the dark web for anyone who wants to purchase them. And and there is a actual flaw in the protocol that all cell phones use for communication that allows those to be intercepted. And it's something that has not been fixed, and I don't see it being fixed in the foreseeable future. And that's a very technical conversation, and I am not a telecommunications person, so I don't even want to try to have that conversation.
Thanks for the clarification, though, on
that. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, an authentication app is much better than a text. Still not foolproof, but you can put passwords on your authentication apps so that you don't just get into them, your Face ID, your Touch ID, your password, PIN kind of thing to make them more secure. So if you were to ask me, what would I like you to remember from this presentation? I'd like you to remember that cyber is people first, that social engineering of all kinds, including phishing, are high risk threats to small businesses, that your culture is greater than technology and matters more than tools. Simple habits, very simple things. I didn't give you very difficult things to do, can build a strong human firewall. Just remember, stop and smell the roses, right? And preparedness beats perfection every time. Think of it this way. We have to get it right every single time, right? So let's do what we can do to make it harder on the bad guys, because they only have to get it right one time. And if you do these things, what kind of business impact are you going to see? You're going to see fewer incidents. What does that mean? That means fewer operational disruptions, which should mean higher revenue, lower premiums for your cyber insurance, reduced financial fraud, financial loss, right? Higher employee confidence and satisfaction. Statistics show that if you have a cyber incident, that you may lose employees, especially the worse the cyber incident is. If it's an actual breach, you're probably going to lose employees. And do you want to lose some of your high confidence, high producing staff? You're going to gain stronger client trust and a better professional reputation. If you're doing the right thing cyber-wise, people are looking for people like me. I think lots of people, but people like me, we're looking for a professional differentiator. right? I am
Absolutely.
more likely to do business with someone who cares about my data. And you should be you should be looking at that too, as business owners and as individuals, right? We want higher revenue, we want lower cost, and we want lower risk, right? And I understand it's a balancing act. Do you have anything to add to that, Rebecca?
I was just going to say, especially if you're doing business with some firm that has your personal data, like whether it's, you're going to a chiropractor, you're going to a CPA firm, or, a wealth manager, what have you, you really need to be asking those questions. Hey, how are you securing my data? And maybe you don't understand, but and I'm not saying that they should have some huge technical discussion about it, but
Right.
they should be able to at minimum answer, yes, we are, we have, an IT provider, or we have, these security tools in place, and we are trying to protect your data as best we can. And that should be a question that, and I think that more consumers are asking those questions.
Yes.
And we
I believe so.
even talking with real estate agents, right? It's like you're doing a lot of transactions with bank account information and escrow and things like that. It's super important to be making sure that you're protecting and encrypting that data. So that was all I had to add upon that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great advice. So what should you guys do next? Well, Trouble's made an offer for a free assessment and consultation. If you guys are interested, you can access our previously recorded webinar that was also live streamed. And we have an upcoming webinar, the Holiday Hustle, wrapping up the year strong. And we're going to do that on the third Thursday as normal. And we'll see you there. And I'm just going to leave here for just a sec in case anyone wants to grab any of those.
And I will say the previously recorded webinar that we did in October, the Back to Basics AI, it's a really great introduction to AI. So I would highly recommend going back and doing that.
If I don't say so myself, I may or may not.
We're only getting better, right, Natalie?
That's right. Each one's just going to be better. And then if you would like to connect with us, this is our phone number, this is our website, and these are our emails. And if you have any questions, Rebecca and I would be more than happy to answer them for you guys offline. We'd be happy to engage with you. And I just want to thank you all for spending some time with us today. We really enjoyed this time. I hope you got something out of it, and have a great rest of your week and a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next month.